Hey guys, welcome to Monday Move where we enhance your asana. So last week we worked with side plank or Vasisthasana. That's kind of the introductory arm balance. Another good one that you can start with is Bakasana or crow pose. So that's what we are going to work on today. So let's come onto the mat. Um, so Again, so weight bearing on the hands, a few things to talk about is, so we really, once our hands are on the ground, and this is in any pose, so whether this is plank, down dog, or even triangle pose, if you're pressing your hand down into the floor and reaching up, you always want to be spinning your inner elbows out away from you. So maybe get on your hands and knees and try that a few times and notice what happens to the outside of your shoulders. Kind of hugs them in, right? When you do that, that really helps to lock the upper arm bone into the shoulder girdle and really helps prevent shoulder injury and strain. All right, so that's the number one thing, is to really focus on spinning those inner elbows out. Okay? The next thing is crow pose is pretty much like child's pose in chaturanga. Okay, so if we look at child's pose, let's take our knees wide and big toes together variation and come forward. So this is could be a prep pose that you could do to work into Bakasana. And the other aspect of it is your arms. So chaturanga, if you come into plank, chaturanga is like a halfway push-up. So if you bend your elbows straight back, that's chaturanga. So now all we have to do is bring our knees forward and place our knees on our upper arms, and we got crow pose. It's simple as that, right? So for a beginner, it might be nice to have blocks or a stack of books available, but I'll give you some progressions up towards the final full expression of Bakasana. But there's many options prior to that that you can work with as well. So to start, we need to get comfortable in the child's pose position. But now another option, another similar pose is Malasana, or the deep squat. So feet wide, toes slightly turned out, and then you just drop your bum as far as you can go, right? So again, if we're here, bring our arms out, we're in Bakasana, basically, all right? So I can talk, I'm going to come up onto my toes. So again, this is another variation. You can work this and work on hugging your knees and towards your arms to get the connection that you need when you finally come and bring your hands onto the ground, right? So you can work this and just get your butt low, keep your chest up, and just resist arms and knees. All right, that's a great variation right here. The other thing you can do is, if you want to start getting comfortable bringing the weight onto your hands, is so we're going to lift our hips just slightly. Think about taking your knees, well, lift the hips, come onto your tippy toes, and take your knees kind of into your armpits. Lean forward, lean your weight onto your hands, look forward, and now just lift your right foot up off the ground and keep your knee in your armpit. Replace that down. Do the same thing with the left one. Replace that one down. And so that can be the second progression towards it, to really start doing like a half Bakasana, kind of just getting that core and hip flexor engagement needed to keep the knees up into the armpit and really work on rounding and pulling your navel up and in to keep that activation. Now so for the block variation, and I'll turn this way for it, is if you have one block, maybe start with one block, and then once you're comfortable with your toes on one block, you can raise it even more to 2 blocks maybe. So what you're going to do is kind of perch yourself onto the block, And again, same start, so lift the hips, come onto your toes. And now it's a little bit easier to shift forward and maybe start working, lifting the opposite toes, right? And again, then maybe you go up to 2 blocks, so you get that little, so if we come up to 2 blocks, what happens is the weight is even more on our hands. And we get a little bit more comfortable leaning a little bit more forward, right? So from there, you can stay on 2 blocks and either work on alternating the toes or maybe start to lift both feet up because your feet are basically high enough to be in Bakasana. So if you're here, maybe just start to lean a little bit forward. Make sure you're looking forward. The head forward is the counterbalance to lifting your feet. All right, so you need to be looking forward, not back towards your feet. All right? Look forward, look forward, look forward. And all you have to do is shift another inch forward to lift your toes. Lower back down. All right, so those are the progressions that I recommend to build up into Bakasana. So again, just working in maybe getting comfortable in child's pose or malasana, doing crow pose in malasana, stretching your arms forward and hugging your knees into your arms. You can lean onto your hands and start alternating feet. Start bringing your feet up onto a block or 2. And then just work on shifting forward just a slight bit more to bring your feet off the blocks or off the ground. And you're right there. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything else, definitely reach out to me via the message or direct message or through my website. Otherwise, enjoy practicing Bakasana, have fun with it, and remember, yoga is not about perfection, and it's about the effort that you put into it. So, and the journey towards the goal or the pose, whatever you may be working on. So enjoy the process and let me know how it goes. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next Monday. Namaste.